Welcome to our exploration. If you're joining us today,
Here we are.
we're here together. This is it, the final workbook lesson of A Course in Miracles, lesson 365.
It really is a moment that asks for a pause. We want to celebrate this journey with you.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter how you got here. I mean, whether you followed the lessons day by day, or you dipped in and out when life allowed.
Or you returned after months away.
Or maybe you're only hearing this final lesson for the first time right now, just reaching this point. We're just honoring the commitment you've shown.
And this exploration today is our chance to recognize what has actually changed in our internal world. This was never a theory class, It was a commitment to practical application, a truly lived experience.
We need to articulate why finishing this structured practice isn't an ending at all. It's really the preparation for what comes next.
Before we read the lesson, we really want to express our deep gratitude to you, the listener.
Oh, absolutely.
We've received so many reflections, some incredible questions.
We know everyone learns at their own pace, and sharing this path with you has been a privilege. It's been a shared journey built on real honesty and commitment. So if you have any final thoughts on this workbook cycle, or if you just want to stay connected as we move into the text in the manual, please reach out. We genuinely want to hear how this work has shown up for you.
The best way to do that is email. You can email us at ACIM.
At theworldharmonyproject.org.
You can also find us on social media. We're on TikTok.
At the World Harmony Project. And we thank you. Thank you for letting us be part of this really intense period of self-discovery and internal change.
Okay, so let's pause for a moment and set up the reading. Lesson 365 is probably very familiar to a lot of you.
You might even know it by heart.
Right, but let's take the time to hear it fresh, in its entirety.
We'll read this slowly, with no commentary, just allowing the words to land after a year of putting them into practice. Lesson 365. This holy instant, what I give to you, be you in charge. For I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. And if I need a word to help me, he will give it to me. If I need a thought, that will he also give. And if I need but stillness and a tranquil, open mind, these are the gifts I will receive of him. He is in charge by my request, and he will hear and answer me, because he speaks for God my Father and his Holy Son.
It's fascinating to hear those words now.
Right.
Knowing the 364 lessons that came before them, if we had heard that on day one, that phrase, be you in charge, it would have landed so differently.
Oh, completely. It would have sounded like a demand for what? Surrender?
Or even like an abandonment of responsibility.
Yeah.
We're celebrating the shift from, learning the concepts in the workbook to actually knowing we have the skills to apply them. And now, here we are.
Here we are.
So I think our mission for this exploration is to just pause for a second and really look at the skills we've gained. These are the tools that guarantee a joyful outcome, that move you from, the world of illusion to reality.
It's the complete correction of vision, the undoing of all mistakes.
This life-altering shift from believing we're victims of the world to realizing we are the creators of our own experience. I find myself going back to that one lesson all the time. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world.
It establishes that your thoughts determine the world you see. The world itself has no meaning. It's just a blank screen until you give it meaning. And those initial weeks paid such relentless attention to how quickly we assign meaning to everything.
We had to commit to letting go of our insistence on certainty. That was the real work.
And the simplest practices were often the most powerful. Just look, pause, and admit uncertainty. Over those 188 days, our attention moved. It moved from external objects.
The people, the circumstances, the chaos out there.
Right. It moved from that to our internal reactions, the thoughts, the judgments, the expectations, and the emotional charge that came with them. And the repetition was so key there. Part 1 demanded that daily commitment.
Read, practice for a few minutes, come back to it throughout the day.
And sometimes it was tedious, other times it was just just profound, but the sheer mechanical act of repetition, it established a foundational pattern, a pattern for pausing without immediately reacting.
Or assigning an interpretation.
And we also had to be really honest about the language. We spent time looking at the course's unique vocabulary. We had you ask us about the sometimes challenging, flowery prose.
And the patriarchal or Christian-based terminology. That was a big one for a lot of people.
It was. And we learned to look past the symbols to the underlying psychological principle they were pointing toward.
It required us to hold the words lightly. We had to practice not assuming that familiar terms like father or son or atonement meant what we thought they meant from a theological standpoint. Which brings us to responsibility. Part 1 completely reframed responsibility as authorship, not blame. We are the authors of what we see because we project our interpretations onto the world. The practice was just recognizing that authorship without judging ourselves for it. By the time we finished lesson 188, the shift was, it was unmistakable. Questioning our first conclusion started to feel more natural, more reflexive.
And crucially, we had established that inner peace wasn't some distant goal you could only get to in deep meditation.
Right. It was a continuous, available baseline. It was only obscured by our insistence on interpreting and judging everything all the time. Peace was recognized as our natural state, not something we had to struggle to achieve.
Which then led perfectly into part 2, the shift from awareness to reliance.
From correction to trust.
Yes. We moved from the work of correcting our perception to the work of trusting the guidance that our corrected perception made available to us.
In part 2, lessons 189 all the way through 365, it demanded less external effort, but wow, so much more internal surrender.
So much more. The practices became quieter, more inward. Instead of analyzing our perceptions, our attention focused on how we responded when a question or a feeling of uncertainty came up inside.
We learned that the urgency to answer the question, to immediately fill that void of not knowing with our own interpretation, that was often the core interference.
The core interference. We were being asked to just sit in that space of unknowing and listen. Just listen.
Which required setting aside the ego's entire way of doing things. We started approaching the day with less visible effort and, surprisingly, with less need for that internal self-correction. We were replacing the habitual need to control outcomes with a simple willingness to follow that quiet internal guidance.
The voice for God, or the Holy Spirit.
Right.
We learned to set aside our own precise, private, personal goals.
And allow a higher shared purpose to guide our responses. In this shift, it fundamentally changed how we understood forgiveness.
It really did.
In part 1, forgiveness was about correcting distorted perception, seeing error as a call for love, not for judgment. But in part 2, the practice matured.
It got deeper.
Forgiveness became stepping back from the need to manage outcomes entirely. If you genuinely trust the guidance, you no longer have to control the result of the situation. You release the command function.
And the language of the lessons supported that movement so beautifully. We noticed the lessons began responding to invitations rather than just delivering rigid instructions. And the concept of time became simpler, too.
So much simpler.
Part 2 constantly brought us back to the holy instant, the present moment, as the only place where guidance is ever received, the only place where atonement, the correction for separation, can be accepted.
Because the past and the future are just built on the ego's interpretations. We learned that if we are focused on the past or the future, we are, by definition, interrupting the guidance that is already available right now. Our only task is just to become available to it, not to force its arrival.
So, across the full 365 days, from the awareness training of part 1 to the trust establishment of part 2, there was one massive, consistent finding that became the bedrock of this whole practice.
Yeah.
Peace became available the very instant we eased our grip on resisting or pushing against what is happening right in front of us.
We just naturally started giving less authority to our relentless internal commentary, our fleeting interpretations, and we reduced the weight we placed on that desperate, anxious need for certainty about the future.
Listening replaced planning more and more often.
We allowed ourselves to enter that waiting phase with so much less internal urgency.
And we stopped demanding that answers arrive in a specific, expected form.
Yeah. If we were to boil it all down to its core, it's what the course says over and over again.
The answer is already given.
The answer is already given. We move toward recognition, relying on the deep internal knowledge that the solution is already present. This practice doesn't remove the challenges of being human. Life is still life.
It's not a magic wand.
No. But the fundamental change was in the authority we gave those challenges. They stopped being absolute verdicts on our self-worth or our spiritual progress or the success of our path.
They just became lessons, opportunities to practice stepping back one more time.
The sustained work of the workbook established a new list of priorities that now govern our internal choices.
Peace mattered more than interpretation.
Relationship that shared purpose with everyone, which is the definition of atonement in the Course, mattered more than any passing judgment of myself or someone else.
Shared purpose mattered infinitely more than our private, narrow, self-serving goals. That's the synthesis of the whole year.
The old way would be to assign certainty and interpretation, blame, identification, separation.
The new choice, peace and relationship, changes your response in every single area of your life.
So reaching Lesson 365 marks the formal completion of the structured daily training. The 365 days are done.
The structure is done.
But the practice is only just beginning in earnest, just without the mandatory daily instructions that kept us on a schedule. We're trained now.
We are. We recognize when we're interfering with the flow. And we know exactly how to step back without urgency or self-condemnation. We have always said that the workbook was not the end destination. It was never an academic achievement to put on the shelf.
It was used entirely as preparation.
Its purpose was singular: to support the establishment of a stable, consistent, and trusted relationship with that internal guidance. So now, with this experiential foundation firmly in place, we are prepared. We can turn to the text and the manual for teachers.
And we approach them not looking for new information, because the foundational truth has already been experienced.
We're going there to recognize what is already known, and to understand the philosophical and psychological structure that supports the practice we've already internalized.
Life itself continues to be the only classroom we need.
It's the ultimate classroom.
And the daily, ongoing choice in every single moment remains exactly the same. Do we choose to accept the peace that is already here, that our practice has shown us is available?
Or do we choose to delay it through the persistent interference of interpretation and control?
That's why the workbook structure ends so quietly.
There's nothing left to prove.
And the practice continues naturally. If you have walked through this 365-day cycle with us, in any rhythm, any sequence, we just offer you our sincere acknowledgement of your commitment.
This is profound spiritual work.
It is.
And if you're just arriving here, maybe this is the first one you're hearing, or you're returning after a long time away. Please know that this practice, this guidance, it's fully available to you right now, in this moment.
The door is always open. You can begin, or you can return to it instantly.
This exploration will continue.
We're going to delve into the manual for teachers. Thank you so much for your consistency, your honesty, and your quiet, dedicated presence throughout this entire year of work. It is truly an honor to share this path with you.
It is. Thank you for practicing with us, and thank you for making the choice for peace.
If you have a thought or a reflection about the shifts you experienced this past year, please share it with us.
We invite you to stay connected. You can email us at ACIM@theworldharmonyproject.org.
Just remember, you have learned experientially that your mind has an internal reference point that knows the way to peace. The work now is not searching for answers, but merely remembering to look inward and follow. That is the journey ahead.